This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. Take two. I'm joined by Adam Booth here in London. Adam, firstly, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, very well. And here we are with your GM, and we've just seen your man Josh Kelly going through his paces ahead of his ring return. Just walk me through his camp so far. How pleased are you with what you're seeing?
Solid. It's what it needs to be as part of his progression into world level. And yeah, looking forward. 2 more weeks to go. So we're right in the middle of it. So I'm not going to start celebrating anything yet because there's still some work to do. But I'm happy where he's at. Really happy.
In the build-up to the Troy Williamson fight, obviously there was a lot of talk about kind of past issues Josh had going on. Going into this camp, a full camp where hopefully it seems like all of those are behind him now. Do you see the difference, and do you think we'll see an even more improved version come fight night?
Yeah, all I ever want is for people to see on fight night what I've been seeing in the gym since 2016, 2017. And he's starting to show that more and more. I think the Troy fight, yeah, it was a good performance, but I still know how much more he's got in him, and I think that's going to start to show out each and every fight.
Say if he'd have been able to deliver what you've seen in the gym in all of his years, in the ring sooner than what he's taken, where do you think he would be at in his career right now?
I don't know, because I haven't really given that question much thought. I'm just, we're in the middle of it now with 2 weeks to go, and I'm just happy, satisfied, and know that where he's at is where he needs to be.
Talking about Corzo, what do you know about him? What are you expecting from him?
Well, like these South Americans, they're tough, and when they're unbeaten, they got pride. And you saw that with Bastida as well, that took Josh 10 rounds. Even if they've got no answers to what's in front of them, and they're getting hit regularly, they keep trying, and that's what I hope he brings. Because I think the more you try with Josh, the better he performs. So I'm hoping that Corzo brings the best version of himself.
And for Josh, what exactly are you hoping that he shows, the developments that he's shown in camp?
Well, kind of like what I just said. Like since way back, like he's got stuff that you can't teach, and I just, as he's maturing as a man, as a fighter, in every sense, technically, mentally, physically, whatever you want to look at, that he's going to start to express himself, and people are going to get to start watching on fight nights what we've been seeing in the gym for years.
Provided fight night goes to plan, how quickly do you want to see him moving forwards now with his career? Do you feel like there's time that you want to make up for?
Like, I'll never answer that question because I never want to curse it and be that naive. Let's enjoy June 24th on the Zhang, and we'll go from there.
And one fight which has obviously always been mentioned with Josh is that of Benn. Do you think that could be something which could be revisited in the near future?
I mean, like I said, I don't want to talk about fights. I said yes to that fight many times years ago. The yes never came from the other side, so for me it's not a consideration until the other side say yeah. June 24th for me is where it's at.
Can I just ask you then, why do you think it is that they're not keen on a fight with Josh Kelly?
Ask them, don't ask me, ask them.
That's fair enough. Just moving away from that one, Michael Conlan, difficult weekend, didn't get that homecoming result that he wanted. Can you just reflect for me, Adam, firstly? In fact, before you reflect, how is Michael doing?
He's devastated, and it's difficult because after everyone here is so close that when one wins we all win, but when one loses we all lose, and yet we still had to be back in the gym Monday morning doing our job while he's missed out on his dream again. And that's really about as far as I've analysed it, because Mick knows that we still have to get back here and do what we got to do. And after June 24th, I might have a bit of time to sit down with him and reflect and then indulge sort of like the depression of it a little bit.
I've exchanged a couple of messages with Mick myself, and he uses that word heartbreaking as to how he feels about it all. And he admitted he just fought the wrong fight. What was the game plan for you? Why exactly did you feel like maybe Mick didn't go and follow the instructions that you was hoping for? Well,
I don't know. Like I said, maybe he was trying to, but you got to remember Lopez is an excellent champion, and I think what he did on fight night we hadn't seen him do before. He's adding to his game, and I think he's the type of fighter that in years to come you'll look back and realise just how good he was. And on the night he didn't allow Mick to have success at the things that Mick wanted to use. But like I said, I can't overanalyze it yet. I'll have to wait till after June 24.
I know you can't overanalyze it, but how difficult is it to prepare for somebody like Luis Alberto Lopez because of the way that he fights, his awkwardness, the angles that he throws from?
I think it doesn't matter what your style is or how good you are. You're always in for a hard night with Lopez because he's tough, quick, unpredictable, powerful, durable, emotionally stable. So what you do, he's going to try and find an answer, and he's a handful in himself.
One thing people have been speaking about, do you think that this might be the end of the road for Michael?
Like I said, you need to speak to Mick. No, you need to speak to Mick and find out his thoughts. I've not delved into it too much. We've obviously messaged every day, but I'm not going too deep. He's licking his wounds. I'm doing my job, and we'll reconvene after June 24.
Can I just ask on kind of the two defeats that he suffered there for world titles, both tough knockouts to take, how mentally challenging can they be to overcome?
Hugely challenging for any fighter. If you lose, it's bad enough. If you get stopped, it's even worse. And when you lose for a world title, it is devastating. So yeah, it's about as difficult as it can be.
Harlem Eubank, what is the latest with Harlem?
July 21st, Channel 5. Another 10-rounder or 12-rounder. And just this year and over the next year, just looking at what's happened over the last 2 or 3 fights and just keep improving. And he's still improving in the gym, and he's still, a fledgling main eventer. And so let's see where he goes in the next year.
A lot of people have been asking and curious to see if there's any chance or any possibilities of lining him up for that British title currently held by Dalton Smith. Is that in the plans at all? Is it something that you'd like to see at some point?
Everything is in the plan, and Harlem's unbeaten, good record, and he's still developing things and adding them to his game. And when the time's right, we'll take the challenges and accept the challenges. But for now, we're just focused on making him a better version of what he is at the moment.
Speaking of that Eubank name, Eubank Jr-Benn seems to be in the works once again. Just your thoughts, do you think it would be a smart move for Chris to maybe re-explore that fight?
Again, that's for him to decide. I guess so. He took it first time round, right? It's up to him. Again, that's something I've not really given much time or thought to.
Can I ask what your thoughts would be if they were to match up?
I don't know, honestly. It's not in that one's not in my consciousness at the moment.
That's fair enough. Just away from that one, obviously a few other fights just on the horizon. Spence-Crawford was announced the other day. Terrific fight, one which everybody's looking forward to. Any breakdown from you on that one, Adam?
I'm just grateful it's been made and just looking forward to them getting in the ring. As a boxing fan, that is one that will get my attention even during this, because when I'm not in the gym, it's things like that, things like Leonard Hearns. They're the fights I'm interested in watching and talking about. I think it's an unbelievable, fascinating matchup. I'm going to stick with what I originally thought, and I think that Crawford wins.
How do you think Crawford beats Errol Spence?
It's one of those fights where there's going to be adjustments consistently through every single round, and it will be the constant adjustments and winning of little moments that wins it for him. You can't go in there and say, he's going to stop him. It's going to be a fight of the highest IQ, a bit like Loma and Haney.
That's what I was about to ask. Obviously, boxing's on a pretty good high at the minute. We had Haney Loma, we had Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis previously. Now we've got Spence-Crawford, amongst other fights to look forward to. How would you say the state of the sport is currently sitting?
Well, they're leading the way, and it's unbelievable that these fights are getting made. As well as Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron, these in the women's side of things. So when you focus at the elite level and the fact that fights are now getting made, it's brilliant for the sport.
Speaking of another big fight next weekend, Josh Taylor, Teofimo-Lopez. Any thoughts given to that one, Adam?
Well, that's one of those fights, right, where you can make a fantastic argument for either of them winning that fight, and it's one of them ones that will definitely get my attention as a fan because it's an unbelievable matchup.
Who comes out on top and how?
I think Josh has grown mentally over the last few months. He seems where he is now seems to be working really well for him, and I like Josh. I'm going to go with Josh.
Just a couple of quick ones to end on. Anthony Joshua supposedly turning down the Tyson Fury fight. Do you think that's a correct move from him? He's only had one fight with Derek James. He wants to try and get out in August for Dillian White and then Deontay Wilder. Or do you think he should have maybe just stepped right in?
I don't know. Like Crawford Spence is done. I'm happy about that. There's all these fights, and there's just a lot of talk from the heavyweight division at the moment. So I'm not really giving it any thought. I have no idea who he's fighting or when he's supposed to fight.
one final one then, just sticking with the heavyweights. Man, you used to work with Joyce. He seems like he's going to go in for the immediate rematch with Zhang. Very difficult defeat for him to take, rather. Talk to me about the adjustments he needs to make to overcome him. And do you think, again, it's a correct move for him to go straight in for a rematch as opposed to maybe having a 1 or 2 fights back to get that winning momentum?
I mean, like, Joe's not a spring chicken, right? So it's not like if you say 1 or 2 more fights, that could be almost a year of his career, and then he's another year added onto his age. So no, I think he's doing the right thing. He's definitely got to make adjustments. In that first fight, it kind of looked like he'd never boxed a southpaw, and it was a southpaw that he couldn't bully and who wasn't falling for the pressure and the physical stature and the way that Joe, imposes himself on a fight. So he's definitely got to make some adjustments and just show that he can deal with a southpaw, because he boxed plenty in the amateurs, but on fight night, he wasn't using his straight right hand enough. He kind of just looked a bit flummoxed.
Do you think he became too reliant on that chin of his that people keep talking about?
No, I don't think he really thinks about that. Joe just does Joe. He's kind of unique in that sense. No, I don't think he did. But again, coming from that southpaw style, he was, when you look at when he fought Daniel Dubois, all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, he can take big shots, but also avoid them. But with Zhang, when they're coming from a big, sturdy southpaw with decent hand speed, he was getting caught.
All right, Adam, I appreciate your time. Thank you for inviting us down here today. Thank you.
Cheers.